Hello and welcome to a new video. Today, from this and the Funkos around me, you might know that this is a recommendations video for the May round of our Readathon, which is Epic Eras. So we have Pua and Hey Hey there from Moana, because Moana is a prompt. We have Isma and Kronk. We have Madam Mim from Sword in the Stone, Hades from Hercules, and the three cats from Aristocats, or the three main cats. I will say I do have more Funkos from various movies, but I almost knocked over about 30 Funkos just getting these two out, so we're not gonna. But anyway, I have some recommendations for you for the various prompts. There are 14 prompts altogether in this readathon. You do not have to complete all 14. I will leave the link to the announcement video in the description box below. You can double up, triple up, quadruple up, whatever. There are no points to this one. It is just, here is a prompt, fill the prompt with a book, and that is it. But I will say a lot of these books you're going to see more than once. I'm going to go through each prompt and give you some book recommendations for each prompt, so be prepared to see some books come up more than once for multiple prompts, because a lot of them fill quite a lot of prompts. So let's get started. So the first prompt is Pinocchio, read a horror or thriller. And for this, I have got Lake's Edge by Lyndall Clipstone. This is like a YA horror. This is very good. I really enjoyed this. It's got monsters, and you'll see it's later on as well, because it'll fit more than one prompt. Next up, we have A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. This whole series is a YA thriller series. The third book is a lot darker than the first one, so if you enjoy the nice light-hearted murder mystery thriller type book of the first one, be prepared for them to get darker as they go on, but they are still all YA and they are all amazing books. Next up, we have The Other Ones by Fran Hart. This one is more of like a supernaturally type book, but I think you can class it as like a thriller or horror as well. It is YA. It is very, very cute. I really enjoyed it, but there were a few bits where I was on the edge of my seat. The next one is You Let Me In by Lucy Clark. This is pure adult thriller. I will say this has the stalking trope, so I know that can be triggering for some people, so maybe just look into the book a bit further before you read it if that is a trigger for you. But I really enjoyed reading this book. There were so many moments where I was like what's going to happen? And I just really enjoyed this. Next up, we have a middle grade, and that is Small Spaces by Catherine Arden. This is a middle grade horror thrillery type book. I really enjoyed this. It had me on the edge of my seat, and I was just like, this is like a middle grade book. And it was amazing. Next up, another adult thriller, we have Still Hess Lake by Rachel Kane. This entire series, I've only read the first book, so I can only recommend the first book, but the first book had so many twists and turns, and I didn't see most of them coming. It was a brilliantly written thriller, and I really, really enjoyed it. Another middle grade, we have the Cassidy Blake series by Victoria Schwab. So this is like this first book. This is City of Ghosts, obviously, but all three of the books in this series will work. They are all middle grade horror type books. Very gripping, very good. The characters are great, and I just really enjoy these series. And the final one is a graphic novel series, and it is Something Is Killing the Children by James Tynion IV. I am obsessed with this series. I will not stop talking about this series. It is incredible, and I am only 2 volumes in. There are going to be 6 volumes altogether. Any of the volumes are going to work on this, because this is a horror, and it is very good. So we move on to the next prompt, and the next prompt is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, read a book with a family dispute. Now, you might not always know if a book is going to have a family dispute, so I'm going to give you some recommendations to help you out, because this is one of the harder ones, even though it can still be pretty easy. So the first one is a repeat, and it is The Other Ones by Fran Hart. Does it say it on the back? It does not say on the back, but this is very much has a family dispute between the children and the mother. So this definitely works for that. Next up, I'm kind of stretching it a bit. If This Gets Out by Sophie Gonzalez and Cal Dietrich. So this is very much a family dispute between a found family. This is a boy band. There is a dispute in the boy band, and they are all very close. They are like brothers. Most of them are like brothers. And there is quite a big dispute in this. So this definitely works for this. You can stretch it to a found family having a dispute. So yeah. And you've probably guessed you're going to see this one later on based on one of the other prompts. Next up, we have The Gravity of Us by Phil Stamper. This one, the parents are very much having some arguments, and the teenager is also having an argument. And it even says it on the back about how long can his parents pretend to be picture perfect when all they do is fight. There are very much some family disputes in this one, and I think it's a really good book. Just overall, I really enjoyed this one. It does fit more than one prompt. Next up, we have Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas. This definitely has a family dispute in it. I'm not going to say more than that because spoilers, but it works for this prompt and it's a really good book. And the final book I'm recommending for this prompt is The Book Eaters by Sonia Dean. I very recently read this, and boy does this have a family dispute. I don't know if it actually... it says about 6 old book eater families. It does, yeah. It does. The blurb does sort of give away that it does have some sort of family dispute. So this, yeah. Okay, the next prompt is Sword in the Stone, read a book with learning. So this, any book set in a school would really work. There are some exceptions as well. So I'm going to give you some recommendations. So we have The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy by Megan Bannon. This is not set in a school. This is an adult fantasy romance. However... Heart does have an apprentice, and apprenticeship's a way of learning, so this one fits. Then we have Crave by Tracy Wolff. Obviously this book's going to be on there, but this is set at a school for supernatural beings, so obviously this is going to work. Next up, we have The Saga of Darren Shan by Darren Shan. I am holding up the second book because the first book has a tarantula on the cover, and I am someone who doesn't like unexpected spider pictures thrown at me, so I'm going for the Wolfman instead. So this is the second book. But all of this series counts as a book with learning because it's all about Darren Shan becoming the vampire's assistant and having to learn the way of the vampires. Next up, we have Only Mostly Devastated by Sophie Gonzalez. This is purely because it is set in a school. Next up, it wouldn't be a Becca recommendations video if The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood was not on it. This is set in a university. She is a student, he is a teacher, not her teacher, not her teacher. Well, he's a professor, not her teacher. Putting it out there, they are both adults, like she's in like her 20s. He's not her teacher at any point. I know some people make a comment about that, but not her teacher. Anyway, this book, amazing, best book ever. I love it so much. Next up is one I don't see any people talking about, and it's the Magisterium series by Cassandra Clare and Holly Black. This is their this is a middle grade series. The middle grade series about a magic school, and when a certain other magic school series people were sort of stopping to read, I'm just like, well, here's a magic school book series with a chosen one. Just saying, just putting it out there. It's a 5-book series. They're all pretty short. It's amazing. Next up, we have The Love Curse of Melody McIntyre by Robin Talley. This one's amazing. It is set in a school and it does deal with a lot of like school productions, but you don't really see them in the classroom much, but it doesn't matter because it's set in a school. And then finally, we have the entire Heartstopper series by Alice Oseman. Even in, I think it's volume 3, where they go on a school trip, it's still a school trip. Still a school trip. They're still learning. So yeah, the entire Heartstopper series. Next, we have Peter Pan, read a book with adventure. So for this, we have Stolen Time by Danielle Rollins. This is about time travel, so lots of adventure there. Then we have the entire Erie Sea series by Thomas Taylor. This all takes place in one little town, but there is so much adventure in that one town, I couldn't not give you this recommendation. Then we have Strange Worlds Travel Agency by L.D. Lipinski. Again, all of this series will work for this because they have adventures in all of them. Then we have Opposite of Always by Justin A. Reynolds. I don't actually recommend this ever. And I don't know why not, because I really enjoyed this when I read it. And it's sort of like a weird adventure because I can't really tell you much, but there is an adventure. Then we have The Land of Raw by Jenny McLachlan. Again, the entire series, the entire Raw series will work for this. It's literally an adventure in their imaginary world. Then we have I Was Born for This by Alice Oseman. It's an adventure for fangirls, and that's all I'm saying. Next up we have Brotherhood by Mike Chen. This is a Star Wars book. You do not have to have read any other Star Wars. You don't even need to have watched anything Star Wars before to enjoy this. This was just a fun little adventure to a different planet where they have to try and help out the governors of that world. And then we have The Red Scrolls of Magic by Cassandra Clare. Just plugging this because it is the May book for By the Angel Along, which is the read-along hosted by yours truly. This book is very much about their little adventures that take place in between some of the more instruments books. And I'm very excited to get everyone to read this one. And then the final one I don't have a physical copy of yet. I really need to get on that because it's my favourite book by this author, and it is The Little Cafe in Copenhagen by Julie Kaplan. This is literally about a group of people that go on like a holiday to Copenhagen and they adventure around the city and get to see the city, and it is just beautiful and I love it so much. It's also an adult romance, but if you like romance that doesn't have like the smut in it, basically, this is the one for you. Any Julie Kaplan books. There's the romance without the smart. So it's proof that I can like romance without smart. Next up we have Oliver and Company, and that is to read a book set in a city. So we're going straight in with The Little Cafe in Copenhagen by Julie Kaplan. It's set in the city of Copenhagen. Need I say more? Then we have Red Scrolls of Magic by Cassandra Clare. This is set, it's a trip across Europe. They go to different cities in Europe, so this definitely counts. Then we have Vicious by V.E. Schwab. I cannot remember what city it is set in, but it is set in a city. Or actually, it might be multiple cities. But this is the Schwab-along book for May. And obviously, Vengeful will be the Schwab-along book for June. So if you were joining in on Schwab-along, here we go. Vicious. Then we have City of Ghosts by Victoria Schwab. Again, the whole series. The first one is set in Edinburgh. Very much a city. So... Then we have I Was Born for This by Alice Oseman. This is set in a city. It's where the band is playing and the main character goes to see the band. So, city. Same as I Was Born for This. If this gets out, has like they're on tour and they go into different cities for their tour. Brotherhood by Mike Chen. Again, it is in the capital city of this planet. So yeah. The next prompt is the Aristocats. Read a book with an animal on the cover. This is very much a just look at the different covers of the books you've got, but some recommendations. The Cassidy Blake series. Now, I will say only books 1 and 3 actually have the cat on the cover. I cannot see the cat on the cover of book 2, which is the Paris book, which I'm gutted about. But if your copy of it does, you can use it. We have Heartstopper next. Now, unfortunately, only volume 4 has the cat and the dog on the back. I looked at the other 3 volumes and they do not have the animals on the actual cover. Doesn't have to be the front cover. It can be at any part of the cover. But only the 4th one works for this prompt. Next up, we have Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldry. Now, you might be thinking, oh, this doesn't. And also, you have to have this cover for this one to work on this prompt. Because on the back... You got that. Got the little mouse. Works. Next up we have Jinxed by Amy McCulloch. There is a cat right there. Get a Life Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. There's a cat right there. Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood has little cat faces right there. Yes. And then the final one I'm recommending for animal on the cover is The Merciful Crow by Margaret Owen. There's crows all over this book, so there we go. Next up, we have Hercules, read a book with strength. Now, we did say this doesn't have to be a physical strength. So we have Opposite of Always by Justin A. Reynolds. The main character has to have the strength to do what he needs to. The Places I've Cried in Public by Holly Bourne. This one, it's the mental strength and the strength to overcome the trauma. Just this book. Look up trigger warnings, please, for this one. Again, with mental but also physical strength, we have A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. Obviously, I'm recommending this one because I love this book so much. Next up, we have The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axie O. She is very much a strong character, and she has to be strong to get through what she has to do in this book. That's all I'm saying. This one, I feel like it could work for more than one reason, but the reason I'm giving you is this book is a chunker, and you've got to be strong to hold this one up. It's The Power of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. Yes, you can stretch this prompt to being you have to be strong. We're going to let you stretch those prompts. Next up, we have Mulan, read a book with societal standards. So first up, we're going for Brotherhood by Mike Chen. This involves the Jedi, and the Jedi very much have societal standards. A lot of the planets in the Star Wars universe do, but Jedi especially have those standards that Jedi have to uphold. So this works for societal standards. Then we have Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas. Very much the societal standards in the little community that they have. XOXO by Axio. This is a K-pop contemporary romance, and it's very much the whole societal standards behind like K-pop artists. Very interested in learning about that. Then we have The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axio. Very much the societal standards based on the sacrifices that are made in this world. And then we have Six Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim. This is very much, there's a monarchy, so societal standards of that. And Liv did also say that the Spin the Dawn, which I have here, Spin the Dawn would work for this as well. I have not read Spin the Dawn and Unravel the Dusk, but I'm going on hers, and she is planning on doing a recommendations video as well, so make sure you check out her video when that goes up. Next up, we have Atlantis, read an underrated book. Now, this is very much what you think is underrated. It could just be ones that aren't talked about a lot. So obviously don't go recommending The Love Hypothesis as much as I would love to. Doesn't fit this prompt because everyone talks about this book. So on that note, I am saying I Was Born for This by Alice Oseman. Now you might be thinking, but everyone knows Alice Oseman. Yes. However, no one ever talks about I Was Born for This. And personally, it is the best Alice Oseman novel. Everyone else talks about Radio Silence and Loveless and Solitaire. And I'm like, this one's better. In my opinion. Just saying. I think this one's better. But it is an underrated because not many people talk about this one. Then we have The Places I've Cried in Public by Holly Bourne. I don't see anyone talking about Holly Bourne's books. So honestly, any of her books. But this one has a special place in my heart. So this one. Then we have Stolen Time by Danielle Rowlands. I love this series. This is a trilogy. And no one ever talks about it. And I'm like, why are you not talking about it? This book is amazing. Like, it's got time travel, dystopian future. What more could you want? And the same goes for Catfishing on Catnet by Naomi Kritzer. No one ever talks about this book, and this is incredible. This is like a sci-fi type. It's got like an AI and everything, and it is just so good. And it's got like a... I wouldn't class it as a thriller, but it has those moments where you're like, what is going to happen? It's very good, and everyone should read it and talk about it more. Next up, we're just going to go for two F.T. Lukens books, In Deeper Waters and So This Is Ever After. No one talks about these books other than me and Jem. And it's a shame because these are incredible books and I definitely cannot wait to get to the rest of this author's, like, work. And another one no one ever talks about is Something Is Killing the Children. Like, honestly, why are more people not talking about this? I need everyone to read this. And it's just like a little graphic novel series. Like, just read it, please. Please. It's so good. Next up, we have Lilo and Stitch, read a book with found family. Found family is one of my favourite tropes. I have a few recommendations, just a few. So we have So This Is Ever After by F.T. Lukens. This is a group of friends, and that is literally Like, they are like family. They protect each other and they fight for each other. And I just love this so much. Then we have Vicious by V.E. Schwab. Victor very much has his own little found family. And it's just, oh, such a cute family. I love them. Then we have Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldry. That little coffee shop is a found family. If This Gets Out by Sophie Gonzalez and Kyle Dartridge. They're a boy band. They're very close. They are like family. Found family. The other ones by Fran Hart. These four, found family. This is one that most people talk about, and it is the Aurora Cycle series by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is like the ultimate found family. I love it so much. And if you're joining in on Kristoff along, Aurora Rising is the April book, but Aurora Burning will be the second book, which will be May. It's gonna be May. Okay, the next prompt is a bit harder. So this is Tangled. Read a book with a sun on the cover. Do you know how hard it is to find books with a sun on the cover? You're probably going to find out if you're doing this prompt. So I have 3 here. They're all books you haven't seen yet on this recommendations video. One of them is stretching it a bit, and because it could be a moon, and one of them I haven't actually read, but it's a sequel to a book I 5-starred. So first up, we have The Secret Sunshine Project by Benjamin Dean. Not only does it say sunshine in the title, which you can stretch it to it just having the word sun, as long as it's sun and not sun as in a sun of like, it's this person's sun. It has to be like the star. But this is amazing. It's a middle grade contemporary and it is adorable, and you should go read it. Next up is One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. Now, it's got that there. Now, that could be a sun. It could be a moon. If you're not sure, but you think it could be a sun, just use it. I'd use this. There's no way of knowing whether it's a sun or a moon. Just use it. And the next one is Heart of the Sun Warrior by Su Lin Tan. I have not read this book, but I 5-starred Daughter of the Moon Goddess. Daughter of the Moon Goddess would not work because it is very clearly a moon on the cover, but this is very clearly a sun, and it literally has the word sun there. As long as it has this word on the cover, you can use it. Next up, we have Raya and the Last Dragon, Read a Book of the Transformation. Honestly, this could be any book with like shapeshifters, vampires, things like that. So we're going to go with 6 Crimson Cranes by Elizabeth Lim, Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axie O, The Darren Shan Saga, Crave by Tracy Wolfe. So yeah, there are many more, but we're gonna stick with those. Screw it, we're going to throw in Akatar as well. Next up, again, I don't have many recommendations because it's a cover prompt, but it is Moana, Read a Book with a Shiny Cover. It could be shiny in this sense. It could be shiny in, like, there's, like, shiny there. This is a shiny cover. This has, like, some, like, shiny bits on it. This has, like, the scales on it, which are shiny. Any sort of shiny bit of the cover works. And then the final prompt is Encanto, Read a Book with a Small Community. So this is basically the opposite of city. It could be a small town. It can be a village. So first up, we have The Gravity of Us by Phil Stamper. It starts off in a city, so it can work for city vaguely, but they move, after his dad gets a job with NASA, they move to this like very small community where it's other families of people that are going on this like... Is it an expedition? Can't think of the word, but basically, yeah, small community. Then we have Only Mostly Devastated by Sophie Gonzalez. I am 99% sure this isn't the school that this is set at is not in a city. It's in like a small town. So we're going to go with that. Then we have Small Spaces by Catherine Arden. Again, not in a city. This is like a small town. And they go to like the middle of nowhere. So yeah. Lake's Edge, set in a village. They live in a village and then they are taken and live in this like big house, which is not in a city. Cemetery Boys, it is a small community. The family is like a small community. I don't think it's set in a city. I think it's set in a town. But even if it is set in a city, it still involves a small community. So it works for that. Then we have The Merciful Crow by Margaret Owen. They go from village to village. So villages. Undertaking of Heart and Mercy by Megan Bannon. Now, Heart does travel to some cities, some villages, some towns. However, Mercy lives in a small town. So, yeah. Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea. She comes from a small village. And then A Court of Thorns and Roses. Feyre lives in a small village, and then when she goes to the fairy world, it's sort of just like the community that's within the house, which isn't very many. So yeah, so that is my recommendations. I hope I have helped you, even if you've only taken one book from this. I hope I have helped you. Some of these books are probably going to fit more prompts than what I've mentioned them for, and if they do, that's great. Log them. That's amazing. But yeah, with the exception of Heart of the Sun Warrior, I've read all of these books and love all of these books. So I hope you do too, even if it's not all of the books. But yeah, I hope you're joining us for a Raw Readathon. Let me know in the comments below if you are, and I hope you've liked this video. If you did, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. Bye.